Hello, it's Mike back once again with tip number 59 from our top 100 tips, tools, and life lessons from the Insight One Awakening Heart Seminar. And in this tip, we're going to look at the conscious self. On the last tip, we looked at the high self, and this all sits within the model of the three selves that we use in Insight to reference kind of three aspects of ourself. Again, not entirely dissimilar from some other models you might be familiar with. While the high self holds kind of a broader perspective and maybe even has a sense of not being kind of connected into time, the high self kind of seems to be able to give us a sense of intuition about what's coming. The conscious self lives in time. It tends to be more linear and tends to process things in time in terms of past and future. It's also the part of us that holds our belief systems and our expectations. And one of the things we really focus on in Insight is noticing what are the beliefs that we're holding within our conscious self. Our sense of morality will sit in our conscious self. Our thoughts about what are right and wrong, what's possible, what's not possible, who we are, who somebody else is. So in that conscious self, we oftentimes will be processing life through a whole lens of various beliefs, some of which serve us and some of which maybe don't. And in fact, we'll tend to dig and we'll look at in some future tips, like how do we really begin to unearth some of those beliefs so we can see them more clearly and maybe make some changes about them. Because one of the things we begin to realize is that those beliefs tend to create our life. So things like our shoulds, our expectations, our thoughts about ourselves, our judgments, our beliefs tend to sit in the conscious self place. It's also the place that tends to be our planner. So it tends to think about, okay, what's the day going to look like? What's the month going to look like? Where am I going to place my focus? What do I need to kind of think about? All happening in that conscious self place. And the key that we're kind of building towards here is how the conscious self both relates to the high self, which we just talked about, and how it connects to the basic self, which we're going to be talking about next. So once again, thank you for listening. Check out what's happening at Insight Boston at insightboston.org, what's happening globally at insightseminars.org, and certainly what's happening in your local Insight community. Have a great day.